Good morning, everyone. So, now the next topic that is computer languages. So, first of all, like the question arises that what do you mean by language? So, we could say that language is one medium, right? One medium with the help of which we just communicate with another person, right? For example, you are having one group, right? Or some persons are sitting over there, right, in a group, and you wants to communicate with with the you wants to communicate with them. Then for that purpose, obviously you need one medium, right, to talk with them. So in that case, obviously, we would use one medium, that would be language. Whether in a case of verbal communication, who wants to communicate with the person, right, which is in that group, right? So for each and everything, like if he wants to communicate with another person, then we need some kind of languages. Whether it could be English, it could be Hindi, it could be Japanese, even though it could be Gadwali also, right? So number of languages we are having. But if we talk about computer languages, then what do you mean by it? So computer languages means, like, as we know that operating system is one of the backbone of computer system, right? If we are having this operating system, then only we could communicate with the computer system, right? But how this operating system has been developed, right? So this operating system has been developed in one of the computer languages, right? So if we are saying that operating system is one of the medium with the help of which the user is interacting with the computer system, that means to develop that operating system, as well as to develop number of application softwares in which the user works, right, we need some kind of computer languages, right? So that is why we could say that computers also need a common medium of instruction to understand the operations as well as the commands to put in, right? So that is why, for that purpose, means for giving the instruction to the computer system, right, we need some kind of computer languages. Just in case of code block, you are writing one C program, right? So with the help of that C program, for example, you are trying to write one program to finding out like whether the number is Armstrong or not, right? So for that purpose, you are writing some set of instructions in a code block software, right? So that code block software has been developed in one kind of computer language, right? Even though if you are writing one kind of program, right? So this is one language, right? You could say the C language. So with the help of that set of instructions which you are writing in C programming is also known as like the communication with the computer system, right? So computer languages are the essence of an operating system. Means like without the computer language, we can't work on computer system, right? As like these languages help the program to program in each and every command, as well as applications in the to develop the applications within the computer system, right? So this computer languages helps you to develop some kind of application softwares, right? So we could say that computer languages are one of the most important thing in case of like communication. Okay. So we could also say that computer is a digital machine. Obviously, it is a digital machine and it can only understand the electric signals just like 0 and 1. 1 is for enabling and 0 is for disabling, right? And there are multiple languages we just communicate with each other. For example, English, Hindi, Gadwali, Kumauni, Gujarati, Japanese, Chinese, number of languages we are having. But computers can't understand these languages, right? Computer understands only and only the machine language, or you could say the binary language, means in a form of 0 and 1. So to convert these languages into machine language, we need some kind of software just like compiler, interpreter, right? So we can interact with the computer. Means if we are talking about, and if we are in a computer field, then if we wants to communicate with the computer system, if we need several advantages from the computer system, then obviously the first of all we need the set of computer languages, right? So these kind of languages could be divided into different number of generations, right? Even though we could say that computer languages are could be divided into low level languages, or we could say it could be divided into high level languages, right? So what are the different languages, or you could say the different computer languages? So with the help of this diagram you could check that we are having two kind of computer languages. The first one is low level language, and the next one is high level languages, right? So this low level languages could be divided into two types. The first one is machine language and the another one is assembly language, right? And in case of high level languages we are having different examples. But like as you could see, like in case of low level languages we are having two generations, right? We are having two generations. Actually the machine language considered under the first generation, right? This machine language considered under the first generations of computer languages, right? And after that the second generation came, and into that second generation computer languages, the assembly languages has been introduced, right? And after that, like under high level languages, like we were having third generation, fourth generation, as well as the fifth generation, right? Now you just understand with the help of according to number of generations which we are having for different computer languages, right? As like we could also divide our computer languages in a form of generations, right? So we are having five types of generation. The first generation language means machine level language, and we are having the second generation language, that is assembly language. Then we are having the third generation language, that means the procedural languages, as well as some of the object oriented languages has been introduced into the third generation, right? After that we are having the fourth generation language, in which some of the database languages just like SQL has been introduced, right? And after that, like the fifth generation language, that means the current generation, in which we are having the concept of artificial intelligence, right? Now how we could divide these different generations, right? So as we are having the first generation of computer, right? So firstly the computers were given instructions in a form of 0 and 1, right? As soon as the computer has been developed, at that point of time we were having no any kind of high level language. So into that time, if you wants to instruct to your computer system, right, if you wants to communicate with that computer system, then like we have to use the form of 0 and 1. That means the machine languages has to be used, right? So like in case of first generation, only and only we were having the machine language, right? So a computer was able to understand it directly without any conversion, because computer understands only the binary language, right? Computer understands only the machine language, and like the user or the developer was writing only and only the 0 and 1, means the machine language is being typed by the programmer, right? So this language is also known as machine language, or you could say the binary language. And binary language, why? Because we are having only two symbols, just like 0 and 1, right? Means like you could take any of the example, you could fit any of the example within this first generation computer languages. For example, you could write 1010001. This is how we this is how like at that time the programming was being done, right? But it was very difficult for the user. it was quite complicated for the user to to program in that machine language, right? So several disadvantages were there. That is why like the next generation has been, or you could say the next language, computer language has been introduced, right? And that comes under the category of second generation. So what exactly it is, you just check. In second generation language, the instructions were replaced with some coded terms, which is called mnemonic, right? What do you mean by mnemonic? Like some set of symbols, right? We were having some set of symbols. So that it becomes a little easier to read as well as to understand and to correct something. Like for example, we are having add A, right? And sub B. So just like that, some kind of mnemonics we could use like in case of assembly language, right? But still it was very difficult. So at that time, a computer can understand and work on the machine code only. So in the second generation, assembly languages were introduced as a special software called assembler has been introduced, right? If someone is writing in a form of assembly language, then obviously computer need one kind of assembler who could convert that particular set of mnemonics, or you could say the some particular set of symbols into the machine language, right? So what is the work of assembler? To convert the assembly language into the machine language. So during that time period, like if someone is writing like the computer language, or if someone was writing the assembly language, then obviously in that software the assembler must be fixed, right? So in case of you could say a second generation, machine languages was just 0 and 1, in which error finding and correcting were very difficult, right? So that is why in second generation assembly languages has been introduced, right? So after that, like in case of example, what you would write? In case of example, you can write some set of symbols just like add, subtract, right? You could write. Then you just take the third generation. In third generation computer languages, as you could say that first two generations of languages were comparatively easier for a computer to understand, right? For the computer it is easy, right? Even like the machine language and the assembly language, these two languages were quite easy for the computer to understand, but for the user it is quite difficult, right? So like for humans, obviously we need some kind of easy language which we could understand, right? So to thus English language came into existence, right? To give the instruction to the computer system. And these languages are also known as high level languages, as these are very easy for the human being to understand, right? For example, like you could say COBOL, Pascal, Basic, C, C++, Java, right? So because in case of third generation language, some kind of object oriented languages has been introduced, right? Some of the procedural languages, some of the object oriented languages has been introduced into the third generation computer languages, right? After that, the fourth generation came. So like as like procedural languages has been introduced, even though the object oriented languages has been introduced, now what do we need? We need some kind of database languages, right? Some kind of database connectivity we need within our software, right? Because we are writing the softwares now in a high level programming languages, or you could say in a English language we are just writing the set of instruction to instruct the computer, to give command to the computer system. Means number of application softwares was being developed at that time, means you could say in third generation, within several procedural as well as the object oriented programming languages. Now in fourth generation languages, some of the structured programming languages, or you could say some of the database programming languages has been introduced, right? So these languages are similar to statements in the human language mainly, which is used in database programming. Means we could say like the SQL, structured query languages, has been introduced into fourth generation language. So basically this is one kind of database languages, DBMS kind of languages, right? Means we are having the complete database. For example, in our university, you could say we are having several courses, right? So you just write select all, and from which table select all, like BCA, right? You just select BCA, right, from the student table to get all the student names, right? So means we, like in case of database languages, we do not need any kind of detailed program, right? Only we need to write the query, right? In case of one of the platform that is known as obviously the DBMS software, right? So in the fourth generation, the database connectivity was being done. So that is why some of the like DBMS languages has been introduced. You could say SQL, etc. Then in fifth generation computer languages, in fifth generation computer languages, like these are more focused on artificial intelligence implementation. Means these have the visual tools to develop a program. Just like artificial intelligence concepts say, like now you could train your computer system with the help of some models, right? Because in case of artificial intelligence, we are having several algorithms, right? Several models we are having. So with the help of the concept of, or with the help of the different number of algorithms of artificial intelligence, you could train to the computer system, right? So what are these languages? What are the name of these languages, right? So currently we are in fifth generation computer languages, but right now obviously, first of all, you must know how exactly like to write the program in procedural language, how exactly write the program in case of object oriented programming languages, how to connect the database within these object oriented programming languages, right? If you know these kind of languages, then only you just go for this fifth generation computer languages, just like Prolog, OPSS, Mercury, etc. Right? So even though we are having Lisp, right? So these are some of the examples, right, of fifth generation computer languages, right? Hope you have understand. So thank you everyone. Thank you so much.